everyone to the 48th Annual High Life Awards Dinner. I'm Monica Rosenfeld, President of the Haston Hebrew Academy Board of Directors. Tonight is a very special evening for us for a number of reasons. First of all, today is Yom Yerushalayim, which commemorates the reunification of the city of Jerusalem in 1967. And the menu in the decor reflect an Israeli theme. Also, you'll notice later on, the artwork on the easel outside was made by 71 students, grades 1 through 7 at our school, in honor of Israel's 71st birthday. Another significant thing about this evening, it's very special for us at the HHAI, because it's the first time we have honored one of our own graduates. As you all remember, the summer of 2017 was the summer of the Great Eclipse, which at the time was a uniquely American event. My husband and I were privileged to attend the Kosher Eclipse program in St. Joseph, Missouri, which was in a location in the path of totality. Michael, can you show the picture? It's been eclipsed. Here we are. It was a very nice event, and people from all over the country came to witness this beautiful phenomenon. Okay, thank you very much. So, my husband Stephen and I were directed to fly in and out of Kansas City, and you can imagine how busy that Kansas City airport was that day, with thousands of people coming in and out to view this special event. On our way back, we were sitting in an alcove of the main terminal, and it was teeming with people, and a young man came up to us. He had a baseball cap down over his head, and we realized that it was Dan Sachs. He found us and began a conversation. So many of you know that with God's help, my husband and I have tried to maintain an open door policy in our home, and we've been privileged to host many people over the years. Of course, our children's friends have always been welcome in our home, particularly on Shabbat afternoon. This is not a roast, although many of us here that have watched Dan grow up could tell a lot of stories about him. Let's just say that Dan kept everyone on their toes. So while talking to Dan in the airport, he expressed tremendous hakarat tov, appreciation, that he and Andrew were able to come over to play at my house and my sister's Judy's house. And he said, and I quote, this is him, not me, "I can't believe that you let us come over all the time. We were like terrorists." He also acknowledged that my Uncle Hart had mentored him at an early age in entrepreneurship. Dan recognized the huge influence the school had in his life and in his future success. This is particularly amazing because, as you know, our school only goes through the 8th grade. We've never had a former student recognize the impact of the school and the mission of our family in such a profound way. Of course, the relationship of Danny, your family, goes with our family, the Haston family, goes way back even before you were born. Your grandparents of blessed memory, who had a tremendous influence on your life, were friends of our family for many years, in happy times and in sad times. Okay, Michael. Okay, so here is a picture that was taken in 1976 at my brother Michael's Shabbat Brachos. And Marvin, do you recognize yourself? That's you, Marvin. Wow. 33 years ago at Michael's Shabbat Brachos. Many years later, my brother Rabbi Michael was asked to help officiate at your wedding. So it's a whole circle of life thing. I think it's very important. On a more sober note, your grandparents, Sarah and Saul Sachs, Zichronam Livracha, were laid to rest for all eternity next to my grandmother, Hannah Haston. And I find this very comforting. All of these individuals were fiercely devoted to Judaism, despite the ravages of the Holocaust, and were strong proponents of Jewish education. So it is with tremendous pride and nachat that I welcome everyone here tonight. But first I would like to acknowledge our rabbinic leaders. Please hold your applause until all of them have been recognized. Rabbi Yisrael Gettinger, Rabbi Michael Haston, Rabbi Shlomo Crandall, Rabbi Abraham Grossbaum, and Rabbi Mendel Schusterman. Thank you very much. I would also like to acknowledge our life and legacy donors, many of whom are here tonight, and really there are quite a few, thank God, Baruch Hashem, we have quite a few life and legacy donors, so it's a long list. Please consult the journals, the ad journals that are on your table, and I believe it's going to run on the computerized version also. There has also been a large group of volunteers diligently working to bring this program together for us this evening. And I'd like to recognize a pretty long list, but most notably I'd like to acknowledge our able administrator, Ms. Tony Scott. Thank you very much. These individuals are Janet Bailey, who is our chairperson, Shirley Alcovey, Brent Epstein, Gigi Felcher, Judith Friedman, Marina Grabowski, who's not here for a very good reason, Azalto, she just had a baby, Sandy Nachlas, and Reba Weiss. In the spirit of our fresh faces of the future thing, that's a hard thing to get through, I would like to welcome this evening's MC, one of our own HHAI graduates from the 8th grade class of 2008, Mr. Martin Weiss. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Rosenfeld. Once again, hello everyone. My name is Martin Weiss, and I am thrilled to be here with you all this evening. My 3 older sisters and I all attended the Haitian Hebrew Academy of Indianapolis, where we received both an excellent secular as well as Judaic education. We have a phenomenal program this evening, and to open, we have a long-standing tradition of singing not only the national anthem of the United States, but the anthem of Israel as well. I would like to welcome to the stage from the HHAI Judaic staff, Rabbi Tzuriel Gluck, and 2 of our own students from the HHAI, Gabriel Vasquez Jappi, as well as Yoav Berlin. Please rise for the national anthem.
Oh,
All right. Thank you, Rabbi Gluck, Gabriel, and Yoav. What a great way to kick off this evening's program. Now, as Mrs. Rosenfeld mentioned, this year's theme is, of course, Fresh Faces of the Future, which is indeed a mouthful to say, I can assure you. Throughout the evening, we will be featuring and celebrating many fresh faces, from Gabriel and Yoav, who are both 7th graders at the HHAI, to featured speakers representing past graduates, and of course, our 2019 Highlight Award recipient, Mr. Dan Sachs, who is a 2000 graduate of the Academy. Our Jewish community here in Indianapolis is indeed rich with fresh young faces, and we are eager to share a few of these young people with you here this evening. Moving forward, to open and to deliver our opening benediction, please welcome Rabbi Shlomo Crandall to the stage.
It truly is an honor for me to be here with you this evening. I guess it's Dan now, but I know him as Danny. Marvin pulled me up a few weeks ago and asked me if I could come and I could share a few words. And the truth is I lost track of time. And he reminded me in an email that it was in February 2001 that Andrew, you had your bar mitzvah, and the very next day you left to move to Maryland with your family. 18 and a half years ago. As I was thinking about that, 18 and a half years, chai, it's a lifetime. What our lives looked like 18 years ago. It was prior to 9/11. We got our news differently. We shopped differently. We had different things in our pockets. We communicated differently. Our lives were very different. You were a little rascal of a kid. I think what Mrs. Rosenfeld said is pretty accurate from my recall. And we were all a lot younger. A lot has changed. My message for you this evening is, with all that has changed, there is one thing that has not changed. What's not changed is the commitment of this school to educate Jewish children. Jewish education, chinuch habanim v'habanos, educating Jewish children for the next generation, and the primacy that we put on that, and the understanding that we know that that is the ikar, that is the main thing that's going to continue to support the Jewish people, adorei doros, for generations to come. Maybe the methods that we learn are different. Maybe we're using iPads now, they didn't exist 18 years ago. But the primacy of chinuch, of education, that hasn't changed. So with all that's changed, that has stayed the same. It's an honor for me to be here with you now, and the bracha, the benediction, if you like, that I give, I'm not a Kohen, I don't give brachos, but the bracha that I give if I were a Kohen would be that the Academy should continue for 18, another 18, another 18, until none of us are here. That we're all gone, but the institution of Torah will continue in the city of Indianapolis at Bias Goel until the day of Yerushalayim that we're celebrating today should reach the ultimate redemption, and we could bring the Batei Knesios and Batei Midrashos, the schools and the shuls, back to Eretz Yisrael. But it all rises on the chinuch, the education that we give, that has not changed, and that will never change.
Thank you, Rabbi. Over the 48 years that we've held the High Life Dinner, we've had the honor of recognizing governors, senators, community leaders, volunteers, and even an astronaut for their achievements in promoting and advancing the cause of education. This evening, we are fortunate to be joined by several past recipients. All that are here and who are able, if you could please stand for us to recognize you, and folks, if you could hold your applause until the end, that would be great. Pierre and Debbie Atlas, Rick Bentley and Karen Vogel, Marcy Eckhouse, Joe and Esther Epstein, the Farahan family, Gigi Marks Belcher, Hart and Simona Haston, Mark and Anna Ruth Haston, Benton and Sandy Marks, Herb and Linda Melrose, Brian and Sandy Nachlis, Dr. Donald Rothbaum, Noni Vonnegut Gavovich. Thank you all very much for joining us. Now folks, we also of course want to acknowledge and applaud the Haston Hebrew Academy and its exceptional educators who continue the tradition of providing outstanding scholastic programs to our students. Please stand if you are an educator or an administrator with the Academy. In a much similar vein to Mr. Dan Sachs, I imagine that I've had the pleasure to terrorize many of you, so thank you for your patience with me as well. And of course, to honor these educators, I'd like to submit a quote from Pirkei Avot that I found especially meaningful for the Academy. A shy person cannot learn. Often the fear of looking foolish can prevent young minds from posing questions. But as we age, we of course come to understand that others seldom judge us as harshly as we fear. In my own experience here at the Haston Hebrew Academy of Indianapolis, the educators consistently succeeded in fostering an environment that lends itself to fearlessly inquisitive students who are taught to understand that posing questions is not an admission of weakness, but rather the sign of a growing and active mind. To our teachers, our students cannot achieve their full potential without each and every single one of you, and the effort that you bring here every day, and for that, we truly thank you. Now, let's enjoy some highlights from this year's school year.
Good evening. Our school year officially ended Friday, but I'd like to share some of the significant accolades of the 2018-19 school year. We begin with early childhood. Under the stellar direction of Mrs. Ashley Flamenhoft, we achieved Paths to Quality Level 3. Additionally, 2 of our teachers actually went to Italy to study the Reggio Emilia philosophy firsthand and bring it back to us. And we're now on the path to NACE accreditation within our early childhood. Our 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Justine Skillman, won the Elementary Educators Award in Economics and went on to win the Kohelet Prize, a $36,000 unrestricted prize to one of only 6 day school educators in the United States in the category of real-world learning for her market and economics unit. Once again, we achieved 3 of the top 10 places in the Letters About Literature contest sponsored by the Library of Congress. Our first place winner for the 3rd year consecutively, the state first place winner was one of our students. This year we recognize Yael Epstein. Mrs. Berg and Mrs. Snyder. We had many honorable mentions and great participation from our middle school students. Perhaps the pinnacle of this year, the achievement, more than any other, is that we were able, through a special design thinking grant, a team of Mrs. Sarit Lincoln, Mr. Michael Voskoboynik, Mrs. Tricia Berg, and Mr. Matt Tucker, were able to attend a design thinking conference last summer in California and come back reinvigorated to change our Holocaust room, to create student interactive exhibits, and we were successful in opening that in May, just a few weeks ago. Destined to become a national icon, because this museum is not typical of an elementary school, of a middle school. It speaks very highly of the innovative education and the significance of Jewish history in the lives of our students. Tonight we honor Mr. Dan Sachs. I did not have the privilege of being around a rascal. They saved those for later ones for me. But one of the wonderful things is that, Dan, you are a pioneer, propelling our alumni in recognition of the value of formative Jewish education. We are told that the saintly Vilna Gaon used to fast on the occasion of the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of his Aleph Bet Rebbe, of those who taught him the very basics, the foundations of Judaism. And through your generosity of spirit, you propel our alumni to help this school thrive and survive for the next 50 years. Congratulations and thank you for that. Tonight we recognize distinguished teacher, Miss Amanda Maslin, who has been teaching here for a decade, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th grade, and has our elementary team liaison, our elementary team leader, has brought forth Raise the Bar of Quality in the elementary division. Bright and articulate, Amanda's a big vision person, but by the same time so organized to actually execute the myriad of details. Social glue, she unites all the divisions of our school, and as an example, she will be going to a national a conference from the Museum of American Jewish History in Philadelphia this summer with 2 of our middle school teachers. Amanda, this is an honor that you richly deserve. And tonight we recognize our 3 wonderful, beautiful young women, graduates of 2018-19. They may be small in number, but significant in stature. 3 shining stars, 3 outstanding, conscientious, excellent students. These were the leaders of our middle school team. Rather than wallow in pity and saying, oh, what a morose year we're going to have, there are just 3 of us, what can we do? We won't have the same opportunities as others. They turned it around, forged an incredible bond between the 3 of them, a bond of friendship, a bond of leadership, and their positivity allowed, as role models, all of our middle school students to be on the honor roll this year and achieve great social emotional growth, all because of them. They were the ones, these 3, our special class of 3, pioneered a new relationship with Sycamore School, and additionally, they had the opportunity to go to Israel with 3 other schools and are maintaining a friendship with the Denver Academy for Torah. At this time, I would like to recognize each of them for just a moment to receive certificates from State Representative Ed Delaney and State Senator Greg Taylor. These girls will be graduating in this very room tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock, and you can hear lots more about them at that time. I'd like to recognize each one of them through the personal verse, the pasuk that is customarily said at the end of the Shemona Esrei, at the end of the silent devotion. Each one has a verse that depicts their Hebrew name, and in this case, really depicts their personality. Eva Glazier. Eva's Hebrew name is Chava, which is the first of these chronological Hebrew letters. And her pasuk is from Eshet Chayil, from Women of Valor, from Proverbs. Chabra ba'oz matneha bata'ametz roateha. That she girds her loins in strength, invigorating her outstretched arms. Eva is a leader, a positive, enthusiastic, beautiful, social, outgoing leader in every fashion. And she truly found a way to inspire and elevate the talents of everybody around her. Eva, again, through her grit, her perseverance, her academic perseverance, together with her tremendous kind heart and empathy, is a community service leader. She, inside of school and outside of school, is an incredible ambassador for the Hasted Hebrew Academy. Congratulations, Eva. Yael Erlich. Yael, your pasuk comes from Tehillim, from Hallel. Yamin Hashem Ronema, Yamin Hashem Osa Chayil. Hashem's right hand is exalted, God's right does valiantly. And when I think of you, Yael, your regal presence, your depth of spiritual core, who you are as a person, finding yourself as a young Jewish woman, again, a quiet leader, your tenacity allowed you to depict a growth mindset, and in fact, really find yourself as a student and a young Jewish woman. Congratulations, Yael. And last, and certainly not least in a group of 3, Maya Yari. Maya, your pasuk comes from Proverbs, from Mishlei, Machshavos Tikon Be'etza V'tachbulot Aseh Milchama. Bright and articulate with keen, sharp mind. The pasuk actually means that thinking and thought is grounded in counsel, and when it comes to scheming, one wages war against falsehood. And Maya, no pasuk depicts you better. Brilliant, articulate, keen insights, but by the same token, even with your artistic talent, your videography talent, you never let the limelight be on you. You never took the credit yourself. You always sought counsel in your humility with your wonderful family and with your co-8th graders in all of the successes and achievements this year. And Maya, more than anything, you were willing to stand up for what you knew were Torah ideals and values, even when standing up meant that you sometimes stood alone. That's not an easy place to be, but it is inspirational that you could do that. In your essay of Women of Valor, you described yourself correctly as a loyal American, a proud Jew, and an avid Zionist. Congratulations, Mike. I would like to wish each of our graduates success, hatzlacha ubracha in all of your future educational endeavors.
Graduates, once again, congratulations on your accomplishments and best of luck to you three in high school. We wish you nothing but great success, and we all here will be rooting for you. Now it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Sherry Hamstra to present this year's Distinguished Teacher Award.
It is really wonderful to be here this evening with 8th grade graduates, their families, to honor Dan Sachs, to our faculty and our guests for this year's awards dinner. But it's especially my honor this evening to introduce Nationally Board Certified Teacher Amanda Maslin, this year's Distinguished Teacher Award winner. For 10 years, I've been fortunate to work with Amanda in many grade levels in our school. She's taught 2nd, 3rd, and 5th grade classrooms. One characteristic of great teachers is resiliency. Amanda is flexible and willing to take on new challenges. She doesn't just accept them, rather she is excited and often seeks input from her colleagues. Amanda has also, for the past several years, led the bi-monthly elementary team meetings, planning, coordinating the duties to be covered during the meeting, and sending out thorough reports from the meetings has allowed for improved communication in the elementary team. A second characteristic of good teachers is that they are instructional leaders and curriculum designers. Amanda not only lives this in her classroom, but she also encourages other teachers through her role in the elementary team. Her organization of the Olympic Games is yet another example of real-world integration into school and its curriculum. Great teachers are empathetic and engaged, and Amanda lives this characteristic in her many special projects. The Kindness Challenge is one example where she influenced the entire school community, took the lead to bringing a positive feel to the culture of our school. Teachers have described Amanda as making an effort to include others in conversation, being empathetic, supportive, and trustworthy. She genuinely cares about her colleagues and her students. She is often right there to pick up duties of others when hardships arise. One last characteristic of a great teacher is their passion for lifelong learning. Amanda keeps current and welcomes opportunities to refresh her educational toolkit. A few summers back, Amanda and I traveled to a workshop in the summer to learn more about a piece of curriculum that strengthened our work in conceptual learning. In a nutshell, the Hebrew Academy believes that when students learn big ideas and then make connections with other ideas, this will lead to powerful, deep learning. Amanda and I had been studying this style of teaching for several years. We'd written curriculum, along with the rest of the humanities staff, and were implementing the units. We were introduced to some additional training and spent 3 days immersed in the deep theory. In the time we had away from class, we spent every minute at the historical sites around the conference area. It turned out that these correlated well with Amanda's history standards for 5th grade, and she was passionately determined to get the most out of the history in the area, along with the concept-based learning theory that we were learning. That's Amanda, a passion-filled, lifelong learner who cares deeply about her work, her friends, her colleagues, and most especially, the students in her classroom and beyond. Congratulations, Amanda.
Thank you. I am honored and touched to be here receiving this award tonight. I'm used to speaking to a group of much shorter people. That doesn't include a lot of people in this room, so please bear with me. In 2009, I decided to move back to Indiana to be closer to my family, who I'm proud to have here with me tonight. My niece had been born earlier that year, and this being before the invention of FaceTime, each picture I received struck me with the odd combination of love and loneliness. I was the only one of my 6 siblings to live out of state at that time, and felt like I was missing out on things. So I finished up the school year teaching in Charlotte, North Carolina, and moved back home again to Indiana without first having secured a new position. I took a leap of faith that it would all work out in the end. Most job movement in the world of education happens in early springtime, which I had missed. And by the end of July, I was getting pretty nervous. Luck would have it that Dawn Beck, our amazing science teacher for the elementary, posted about a 3rd grade opening at her school on Facebook. The post was shared by a mutual friend of my sister's, who in turn brought it to my attention one night. I wasn't familiar with the school, but I emailed my resume before going to bed. And within the span of 24 hours, I had found out about, interviewed for, and accepted a position at the Haston Hebrew Academy. I had trusted that it would all work out, and in the end it did. Now it's 2019, and I have just completed a decade of teaching here at HHAI. And while I'm truly honored to be receiving this recognition tonight, I can't help but think about how after 18 years as an educator, I still can't believe I'm managing to pull the wool over everyone's eyes. There are many days when I go home thinking about the things I could have done better, planning what I will change for the next time, or wondering if I did enough for that child. But there are also days when everything goes right, and my students and I are on fire in the classroom. Those are the days that I know I'm in the right place. Last week, a group of alumni from my very first class here at the Academy came by to visit their old stomping grounds ahead of their high school graduations. They proudly wore their college t-shirts showing that they were attending Purdue, Washington University, Duke, and Princeton. I was enormously impressed and amazed with each young man's success. And later that same afternoon, I ran into one of their fathers, and he thanked me for my part in his son's success, to which I instinctively replied that it was a team effort. It is in that same spirit as I received this award that I would like to begin by recognizing my colleagues in the early childhood, elementary, and middle school teams. Without you, I wouldn't be the teacher that I am today. I learned and evolved by watching you. You are some of the most brilliant, hardest working people I know. You are all amazing educators and bring such diverse strengths to our school. You lift our students up so that they can enjoy the highest quality education and have the confidence to go on to have much success. It has been my privilege to teach here at the Academy under the leadership of Miriam Gettinger. You are the puppet master that makes this school come alive. I recently read a quote from the Rabbi Schneerson, who said, "Each individual has the capacity to build communities and endow them with life, so that every community member becomes a source of inspiration." You have built such a community here at the Academy. You are the glue that holds our Academy together. To Sherry Hamstra, thank you for your mentorship. I came to HHAI with 8 years of experience, but teaching in a private religious school is very different from teaching in a public school in a multitude of ways. You took me under your wing and helped me adapt to my new surroundings, and for that I will always be grateful. Thank you to Monica Rosenfeld and the members of our school board for your vision and dedication. It is an honor to work at a school whose mission it is to make learning accessible for all and educate the whole child. I challenge you to find another school that goes to the lengths that our school does for its students. To my students, both past and present, clearly I would not be here without you. It is an honor to be part of your journey, and I enjoy seeing what amazing people you become and the awesome things that you do. To the graduating class of 2019, teachers are not supposed to have favorites, but it will come as no surprise to anyone that you are one of my favorite classes. It has been a source of pride for me to have taught you in the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th grades. You are kind, intelligent, extraordinary young ladies. You're ready to leave the nest that is HHAI to try out your wings, and we look forward to hearing about the great things we know you will accomplish, and we watch you from afar as you soar to great heights. Most importantly, I would like to thank my family, who has been the single biggest influence in my life. Thank you for your unconditional love. It is because of you that I have had the courage to take the chances and stretch my independence, because I know that you will always be there to catch me if I fall. Thank you to my mom, who is my first example of how to take care of others. To my sister Tamara, who has shown me the meaning of integrity. To my sister Nicole, who modeled how to be a leader and take charge. To my sister Melissa, who taught me to look at things from a parent's point of view. To my younger brothers, Jeff and Kevin, thank you for teaching me to be present in the moment and find humor in life. And to my brother and sister-in-law, thank you for adding fresh new perspectives and traditions to our family. Thank you again, everyone, for bestowing this wonderful honor upon me. It has been one of the most memorable nights of my career. Thanks to each and every one of you for coming out tonight to support our school and the children of the Haston Hebrew Academy. Thank you.
Mrs. Maslin, congratulations on receiving the 2019 Distinguished Teacher Award, and thank you for all that you do for our students. As I said earlier tonight, we have the opportunity to shine the spotlight on our younger Jewish community. I'd like to welcome to the stage Naomi Farahan, a 2011 graduate, and Daniel Ehrlich, a 2016 graduate, to share a few of their favorite memories from their time here at the Academy and what it has meant to them as they moved on to high school and college.
I find it funny that it's been 8 whole years since I attended this event as an 8th grader. I remember it so vividly. I wore a blue dress with yellow flowers. I, along with my classmates, crashed and burned during our chimes performance. I promise this was completely our fault and not a reflection of Mrs. Sloan's excellent teaching. I often reminisce about my time here at the Haston Hebrew Academy. I even remember getting my first bad grade. It was a math assignment in the 5th grade, and I have not yet forgiven myself for it. I remember sweet-talking the staff at the lunch counter to get a 3rd portion of hard-shell tacos and sloppy joes. And I remember how each report card included a polite rebuke about my tendency to talk too much during class. I remember the unmatched quality of education I received each day. Our teachers showed us a level of respect that is unheard of in most classrooms. Mrs. Gettinger, for example, gave us the autonomy to shape our own education. Our classrooms were intentionally designed to encourage both team building and individuality. We were told to ask questions, to discuss and debate everything, from the lessons of a certain Torah portion, to the quality of a science experiment, to the merits of different governing styles. Most important, I remember the relationships. We were there for each other in good times and bad. Many of the teachers, like Mrs. Shmuel, knew my family before I was even born and looked out for me like I was one of their own. This community celebrated my successes and nurtured me through my failures. When I visited Israel for the first time to celebrate my brother Danny's promotion within the IDF, Mr. and Mrs. Moalem designed a poster for me to hold up in the ceremony. When we were in 8th grade, My classmates and I planned an elaborate lip-sync hip-hop number to perform in front of the rest of the school during a Hanukkah celebration. Sandy died at the start of the holiday, though, so I chose not to participate in the event. I sat right there outside of the auditorium during the other classes' songs and dances in an effort to avoid live music. But I was escorted back into the auditorium for my class's performance. I remember sitting there in front of the first few rows, looking up at my classmates as they stood in a line at the front of the stage. They recited a spoken word poem that they wrote together while I was at home sitting Shiva. It was a poem for me. Using Hanukkah themes, they described how, like a rock, they would be strong for me. They promised to lift me up. I sat there with the rest of the school in awe of this precious moment. I will hold that memory with me for the rest of my life. I am grateful to still call some of those classmates my best friends. This school and all of the people in it will always be dear to my heart. I cannot thank my parents enough for recognizing early on that a Jewish education would be critical for my siblings and me to flourish. We each still find great pride in our ability to speak intelligently about both Judaism and Israel. Every part of who I am was shaped by this school. Every day I am grateful for this community and all that it has given me. Thank you.
Wow, it's such an honor to be able to come back to the school I grew to know and love, this time up here giving a speech. Ever since I joined Haston in 5th grade, I became part of such a wonderful, tight-knit community. It was like a second family. From playing in the gym every morning from 7:30 to 8, to saving Fred with Miss Solomon in our first science experiment, to learning about the Chinese dynasties with Miss Snyder through a fun competition. By the way, the Han Dynasty was the best. To tackling difficult questions with Mr. Tucker at the start of every class with our warm-ups. To building a topographical map with Mr. Mwallam that charted out David's every city he went to, fleeing from Shaul. To learning the Megillah Saragossa with Miss Shmuel. To learning the art of poetry with Miss Nurak every Monday during lunchtime. To going over twice a week to B'nai Torah to learn Gemara with Rabbi Gettinger. This school has provided me with so many opportunities and has instilled in me good midot that I continue to follow in my everyday life. Moreover, HHI helped me strengthen my Jewish identity, which is something that can be very challenging as a Jewish teen living in the diaspora. In addition, the school prepared me greatly for the difficulty that awaited me, high school. After graduating Haston, I entered a whole new realm. No longer was my class 8 kids, but now it was 100. Now I know for many of you, 100 is still a small number, but for me it was a big jump. 1,250% to be exact. Furthermore, the academics were much harder and more demanding. Never before did I have a test or quiz every week, on top of loads of homework. Yet Haston, despite this, due to the strong academic foundations that I received at the Haston Hebrew Academy, my transition to high school was much less stressful than I thought it would be. Everything I learned throughout middle school provided me with the background to properly understand the new material that I was taught in high school. Haston provided me with a unique outlook that I could bring to the already diverse opinions and ways of thinking present at Park Tudor. Yet despite all this diversity of thought, during my freshman year, I felt that there really was no place at the school where Jews could come together and celebrate their identity and religion as there was at Haston. And as a result, during my sophomore year, I founded and led the very first Jewish club at my school. It was incredible to see so many people come to our opening Purim party, eat Miss Dina Haston's delicious hamantashen, which she generously provided for the occasion, rattle noisemakers, and put on the multicolored masks I lay out for them to use. It was the first time in my entire high school career that I got to see my classmates as fellow Jews rather than as just classmates. And this was all inspired from my experience at Haston Hebrew Academy. This school has fostered such a strong sense of communal identity and belonging, It feels like you're a part of the family. This is something no other school can even dream of having. I'm so grateful for Mrs. Gettinger, all the teachers, the parents, and the donors who helped create and sustain this unique and wonderful experience, which has benefited students like me, my brother, and sister. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel and Naomi. Great stories. This is a fellow HHAI graduate. I love to hear. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for our High Life Award. Please help me welcome Mr. Benton Marks to the stage to present this year's High Life Award.
Well, that was great. Robin, you're doing a great job as an MC. You have a great voice and stage presence. Enjoyed that montage there. And, you know, this is really a wonderful night, evening of celebration. I'm surrounded by my best friend, Marvin Sachs, his wife, Natasha, my two godsons, Dan Sachs and his younger brother, Andrew, and extended family. Looking at this family together is reason enough to celebrate, but on such an auspicious occasion makes it all the more meaningful. Dan, I've known your father and his parents for almost 60 years, and your mother and her parents for 40 years, and their collective life history is something to be very proud of. Your parents are so very hardworking, always striving to improve themselves by more education, contributing their time and energy to their community, being devoted parents and grandparents, and following Jewish tradition and values. They developed these traits naturally as both sets of grandparents made hard work, education, and Judaism the mantra of their lives after surviving the horrors of the Holocaust and the tyranny of the Soviet Union, both of which attempted to stamp out and eliminate Judaism. Dan, knowing your family as I do, I know how proud they are of all that you have achieved in your life. The coveted High Life Award has been presented for nearly 50 years to many distinguished recipients, which include 3 Indiana governors, 1 U.S. senator, and the great Nobel Prize winner, Elie Wiesel, of blessed memory. In addition, this distinguished list includes many titans of industries and leaders in the general and Jewish community. The program today celebrates the youth of our school. What is it? The fresh faces of the future? Is that right? I said it. Maybe you messed it up. Whatever. Wow. Was that alliteration? Is that right? Okay. Fresh faces of the future. I can't say. Okay. The program today celebrates the youth of our school, and we now celebrate you, Daniel, as not only one of the most generous contributors to the school, but also the youngest recipient of this wonderful award. In your brief career, you have distinguished yourself, culminating in becoming the managing director of Greystone, a major financial mortgage institution in New York City. As your godfather, like your parents, I have known you since your birth. Watching you grow up from an energetic child into a well-spoken, successful adult has been a pleasure. I am so proud of all of your accomplishments, both personally and professionally, especially remembering and giving back to the Hastings Hebrew Academy. You gain more than an excellent education from the Academy, and it is evident in your commitment to Judaism and belief in Jewish education and values. Continue to pay it forward in the finest Jewish tradition of tzedakah. You honor your grandparents, your parents, and me. Daniel, would you please join me? We're presenting this beautiful Kiddush cup inscribed in the event for this wonderful event this evening. Daniel. This is a picture. I've got a picture.
Thank you, Mr. Marks, for that introduction. I just want to add what I'm sure everyone here already knows. Your generosity, your commitment to community, and support for the school serve as a wonderful example for all of us to follow. On a personal note, as a close family friend and as my godfather, you've been a great role model to me throughout each and every stage of my life. Thank you also to Monica, Mrs. Gettinger, and members of the school community for inviting me. Before I begin, I want to offer my congratulations to my former teachers, Mrs. Shmuel and Mrs. Moore. On their retirement after such amazing teaching careers, and to Miss Maslin on her special honor this evening. It hardly seems possible that it was 20 years ago that I, like the 8th graders today, was sitting on the stage eagerly anticipating graduation day to arrive. So congratulations to you, the 48th graduating class of the Hastings Hebrew Academy. I realize that were it not for the emphasis on youth in this year's program, you likely would be hearing from other older, perhaps more qualified speakers. But from the bottom of my heart, I can't tell you how thrilled and honored I am to be invited back to the city where I grew up, and specifically back to the school which played such a central role in building my Jewish identity and formed my foundation. I have such wonderful memories here. I do want to say how happy I am that my wife, Ariane, and my 2 sons, Jonah and Corey, are here to share this special day with me. It goes without saying that my being here is really a tribute to her. My title may be managing director at work, but at home, hers is CEO. And our family knows it. Please stop by to say hi to Ariane if you have not done so, but please, no more stories about me. While I was at the school, I've since realized that I learned many valuable things that do not necessarily show up as a grade on a report card. The Hastings Hebrew Academy is a unique place where a student's Jewish identity is formed through the building of a foundation based in the ideals of Torah and heritage, while at the same time obtaining a secular studies education that is recognized by the state as one of the best. As I was looking back over some of my past school papers that my parents have saved, I also found my bar mitzvah speech. Interestingly, the first thing I said was, I want to thank my parents for raising me to understand my place in Judaism. In hindsight, I think I was too young to fully appreciate what those words really mean and the responsibility that goes with it. I recently read something by Rabbi Aaron Lapiansky, the Rosh HaYeshiva of the Yeshiva of Greater Washington, that puts those words in their proper perspective. He wrote an article in the form of a letter to his children for Passover. It is titled, Our Legacy Passed Along. He begins, we are all components of the Jewish people, actual links in a chain. And he says that Jewish legacy and destiny are engaged in a relay race where a torch is passed on through the ages, and it is each generation's responsibility to take the torch from the one before and pass it on to the next. 3,300 years ago, our people exited Egypt on their way to the land of Israel. Rabbi Lapiansky notes that 4 generations each exist during each century, and posits that if you do the math, there are figuratively a total of 132 people, each a critical link which connects us from our forefathers in Egypt through today. He asks, who are these 132 who had to pass on this heritage flawlessly with a devotion and single-mindedness that could not falter? He answers this question by referring to how Jewish persecution throughout history has tragically imposed a test of faith in the times that each of the 132 lived. That resonated with me. I know this history all too well through the stories of my own grandparents. My dad's parents, Saul and Sarah Sachs, came from a small town and village in Hungary and Czechoslovakia, which today is the Ukraine. I never had to read historical accounts from Auschwitz, Dachau, Mauthausen, Gunskirchen, or the death marches through neck-high snow in the Austrian Alps. I heard it firsthand from them. Meanwhile, my mom's parents, Svetlana and Zinovi, come from the former Soviet Union, where the government attempted to destroy their Jewish identity by banning religious expression. But my grandparents refused to cave into the pressures of anti-Semitism or persecution. Each generation has the overriding responsibility to ensure that our Jewish legacy be passed down unscathed. The generations that came before me had to endure enemies which tested their resolve. However, current times are different from those of the past. American Jews, as individuals, have never been more secure, more accepted, and more affluent. Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz writes that the challenge of today's American Jew is the threat of disappearance, through assimilation, intermarriage, and low birth rates. Today, my most important role is as a parent. Ariane and I want to make sure our 3 boys get the best Hebrew and secular education possible in Jewish day schools where we live. Our challenge today is demonstrating that we can thrive best in an open society where we freely choose to be Jews because of the positive virtues of our heritage. So when I look back at my years at the school, what I value most is the proud sense of Jewish identity instilled in me. Thank you. 133rd person in this holy chain. And you, the graduates, today will be the 134th in this chain, with the sacred duty to pass on our legacy to number 135. I understand that one of you is moving with family to continue your formal Jewish education. Mrs. Gettinger tells me others of you will continue to be involved in Israel advocacy and student-to-student programs through the Jewish Community Relations Council and Jewish Federation of Greater Indianapolis. As you move into adulthood, never stop looking for opportunities to enhance the quality of Jewish life and education. Going back to my bar mitzvah speech, I have learned that one's place in Judaism is not stationary. It is not defined at one fixed period of time or by one event like a bar mitzvah, but rather, our roles and responsibilities continually evolve as we go through life. Are we doing enough to pass the torch? The answer to that question is the challenge for all of us. For ultimately, we'll be judged on how well we have received our tradition and how well we are passing it along. Thank you.
We're going to dedicate the wing, preschool wing, in memory of Solomon's terrorist acts of blessed memory, the early childhood wing. This is a picture, I believe it's a picture of a sign that is over the wing. If you want to see the early childhood wing, the staff is look at it's a little bit of a walk. So I guess your grandparents were the 131st link in the chain. They certainly never wavered and in their love and love of Judaism and education. And they did a great job, obviously, in transmitting it to their 4 children, so that you transmit it to you and to your children. So nothing, I knew Mr. and Mrs. Sachs very, very well, but many happy days on the porch listening to many interesting stories. So they were quite a really unusual couple. So with that, thanks to your generosity and your commitment to the school, we're going to dedicate this wing in their memories.
I'm just humbled to be able to give back to an institution which I took so much from. I was a wild kid. I don't think anybody here would have expected me to be on this stage. And I have done all right playing from behind. But in all seriousness, the Hebrew Academy of Indianapolis, the Hastings Hebrew Academy of Indianapolis, was just such a special place to me that it was obvious. It wasn't something I actually had to think much about. It's something that I want to be here for every student that can come through the doors, because the foundation that I credit with the strength to carry me through all the adversity that I endured and everyone will naturally endure in high school, in college, in a professional setting, in marriage, etc. That identity was my rock, and for that, I really attribute much of my success. So thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be back, and I'm so happy that we could support the school this way.
Well, Mr. Sachs, once again, you, sir, are a phenomenal example of our young Jewish community, and for that, we thank you and congratulations. We applaud you for your commitment to the school as well as its mission, and we are honored to have your grandparents' name grace the hall of our early childhood wing. Additionally, this year, we have a special opportunity to recognize 2 teachers who have, and wait for it folks, 2 teachers who have served at the Haston Hebrew Academy of Indianapolis for a combined 70 years. Mrs. Zita Narak will be retiring after 34 years of teaching, and Mrs. Maya Shmuel will retire after 36 years of teaching respectively. Now, I have the unique pleasure of being taught by both Mrs. Shmuel as well as Mrs. Narak, and as such, I am eternally grateful to be here tonight to have the opportunity to thank them, not only for their very large troves of patience with me, but for their commitment to the success of the Academy as a whole. To help us celebrate Zita, I'd like to welcome to the stage Saul Narak, Zita's son.
So I'm Zita's son. Thanks for having me. There seems to be a theme of crazy kids that used to attend the school coming back and not being as crazy. I might have been one of them. There's been a lot of speeches. I'll keep it short. I actually attended the Hebrew Academy for some time and also had a wonderful experience here. I have fond memories of riding my bright blue GT BMX bike to school, jumping off the steps so all my classmates could see. That was many moons ago, which just goes to show that which just goes to remind me that life is an adventure with many different scenes and chapters along the way. I'd like to congratulate my mom and wish her only the best as she moves from such a wonderful and meaningful chapter on to the next. I know my wife Allison and our kids Tallulah and Makai, they would have loved to have been here. Unfortunately, they could not make the trip from Vermont where we live, but we all wish you a heartfelt congratulations. I know my brother Michael would have wanted to be here as well. He lives in California. Unfortunately, his work schedule did not allow, but Michael and his family have sent a video, which I believe is now going to play. So, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Saul. We are also very fortunate to have Maya Shmuel's children with us this evening to share a few words to honor their mother. Please welcome Galit Silverman, Yaniv Shmuel, and Oren Shmuel to the stage.
Good evening. Excuse me. We're thrilled to be standing in front of you all tonight to help introduce my mom as she begins her retirement after 36 years of teaching at the Hastings Hebrew Academy. She has spent tireless days, nights, weeks, and months putting forth a lot of energy to help enrich her students' lives. She has traveled all over the world to enhance her teaching skills and bring new thoughts and ideas into her classrooms. We're proud of her accomplishments, and we wish her well with this next chapter of her life. We love you, Ima.
I know what everybody's thinking. It must be rascal night here tonight. But in all honesty, I look back at my time at the Hebrew Academy with very fond memories. Don't want to repeat many things that Danny said, but really, I feel the same way. And 36 years, Ima, of lesson plans, caring for the Jewish community, being everybody's Jewish mother. You know, I think the first words Victoria ever said to me were, "You're Mrs. Shmuel's son, aren't you?" So I watched you take this opportunity, work tirelessly. I was 3 years old when you started working here. Everybody talks about my dad's cooking, how great my dad's cooking, and I think, if memory serves me right, that stems back from my mom deciding she wanted to go back to school, get her degree. So she would come home maybe 8 or 9 at night. My dad had to start cooking and learn how to cook that way. A lot of, okay, so we're gonna have pizza instead night. So, it paid off in the end. But we're so proud of you, Ima, and all the hard work you've put into this school. And everything you've accomplished over the years, the awards you won, you're so deserving. You work so hard. You're the hardest worker that I've ever seen. And for everyone worried that this is an end of my mom's teaching days, don't worry. We have Passover Seder, which will encourage all of us to read in Hebrew so she can correct each and every. We love you so much. We're so proud of you. We look forward to the time alone with you, but we know you'll still be a part of this community and this school. Thank you.
Ima, we hope you're my readers. It's too late. We hope your well-deserved retirement will bring you lots of fun and happiness. Enjoy it. You finally have the time and opportunity to do all the things you wanted to do in life. You have left such an impact with your students and their families. You have also left your students with an expansive base of Jewish knowledge and values that they will pass on to their families. We couldn't be more proud of you. We love you, and Mazel Tov. And Mazel Tov to all the other well-deserved honorees tonight.
Thank you, Yaniv, Galit, and Oren for ruffling through my script and ensuring that I couldn't find the right page. Now, I'm confident that at this point, I am supposed to welcome Miss Gettinger to the stage. Not yet. Well, I am flustered, to say the least. So let me find this bad boy here real quick. Oh, yes, thank you. There is a phenomenal video, cute now, thankfully, that the students have made to honor Mrs. Shmuel as well as Mrs. Nura. Please enjoy.
Maya and Zita, I wish you both the best. I hope you get to spend a lot of time in your retirement with your families, enjoying yourself, but we're really going to miss you here. Thank you for all of the hard work and dedication that you put into this school.
What I'm going to miss most about Miss Nurok is how she used to play the piano and teach us grammar at the same time.
I'm thankful for Mrs. Shmuel for making me the responsible student I am today.
Maya, you always took time to walk into my classroom to share your knowledge, talk, and laugh. And especially, standing by my side, I will truly miss your friendship. Teaching beside you, Zina, your warmth, guidance, firm but always fair approach, and endless patience is inspiring. I will miss you dearly and cherish the memories of our time together forever.
The impact that you've had on our school will be felt for many years to come, but we'll still miss you dearly. I won't say goodbye now, because I know if Mrs. Gettinger has anything to do with it, we'll see you in the building very soon. So for now, I'll just say, until we meet again.
The best thing about Miss Nurok is that she inspires a love of reading and writing in all of her students.
I always admire the way she uses writing to connect with her students. And I think it's really special. And it was Mrs. Shmuel who often took me under her wing, not just as a colleague, but as another woman in the Jewish community. And she helped me to understand dynamics between people.
You taught me English skills that I still use today, and I thank you for that. Mrs. Shmuel, I'm gonna miss you very, very much because every time I'm sad or I need someone to talk to, I always come to you, and you're like a second grandma to me.
Thank you, Mrs. Nurok. Your class was just enjoyable, and I have to thank you for that. Mrs. Shmuel, when I was being bad, you were authentic to me and not closed off. You inspire me to be a better person.
It's going to be hard to say goodbye to Mrs. Shmuel. She's been a huge part of the school. She has lots of different ways that she contributes. She's been a great advisor. She's been a good balance for myself, a wonderful teacher, and she'll be greatly missed.
Well, Maya, though, when you walked into my art room of 3 weeks and asked if I would integrate art and Judaics with you, I said, sure. We've been lost in Venice together and toured amazing places in Israel that keep me in, and we've shared in each other's joy through weddings and grandchildren. I know you're looking forward to retirement, but I'm really counting on your help for the 8th grade fundraiser.
I'd like to invite Maya and Zita up to the stage. Be seated. So you can... So this is a bittersweet moment. There's great pride in being able to be the one to officially present gifts to Maya and Zita, acknowledging their retirement, more importantly, their enormous service to the school. The verse in describing the dedication of the tabernacle, the Mishkan, tells us in Numbers, Bamidbar, Vayihi biyom kalot Moshe lahakim et hamishkan. And it was on the day that Moses finished establishing the tabernacle. Rashi, the medieval commentator, asks the obvious. Moshe was neither the architect nor the engineer, nor was he a Kohen, a priest, to serve in the tabernacle. So why is it ascribed to his name? And the answer that is given is Lefi Shamasar Nafsho, because he dedicated himself to its completion. He cared. He spent tireless times, nights, constantly thinking about the precision of the utensils. How would all of it come together? It was actually the only successful fundraising campaign in all of Jewish history. There was so much that he had to tell them to stop. But Moshe cared, and for that reason, the Mishkan was called on his name. Similarly, King David was not the one to build the temple. Solomon was. But the temple is called after King David because it was his mission, his life goal, to build that temple. Tonight we honor Zita and Maya, who, although their names are not emblazoned on plaques and on walls and on doors, have imprinted the hearts and minds of hundreds of students, many of whom are here tonight, and throughout the communities of the world, for the fact that they labored with love. They dedicated their lives to building this institution of Jewish education, and that goal was more meaningful, that mission, than anything else. Beautiful, gracious women, dedicated, dynamic teachers, lifelong learners, lovers of art and music. I could go on all night and won't, but I really could. There's that much to say. Zita, want to come? Zita, I was a principal for 23 years before I came to Indianapolis. And I must confess that during that time, I thought second grade was like a placeholder in early elementary school. You could skip it and it wouldn't make much difference. And then I came here and I found out that you could transform magic. You could take young, exuberant rascals and turn them at the end of the year into little mention, and more importantly, into junior thinkers through rich conversation and discussion, and mostly through the empowerment of finding their voice in writing. Zita, you have gifted hundreds of students to be able to find their voices through written expression, a gift that nobody can ever repay you for. And then I sillily thought one day, when I needed to have extra coverage for middle school during our team meetings on Mondays, that I would ask you, I wouldn't ask you to do lunch duty, but I could ask you to maybe sit in the cafeteria and one or two students would come over and you could work on poetry. Little did I know that that poetry club, again, would become so large that it had to meet in a different location, and I had to find a different teacher to cover middle school lunch duty. And then it became, Zita, you became a teacher of teachers. The language arts meetings and what you've taught them and what you've given them. You're an advocate for your students to their parents, to the township, and in every way. But mostly, Pi ha'patcha b'chachma v'torat chesed al lishono. Her mouth opens with wisdom, but the language of kindness is on her tongue. Zita, you not only taught kindness in your curriculum, you embody kindness. It's no surprise that the second grade won the kindness challenge this year, all right? Your focus on each individual student and how to make them feel that they are the most special person in the world obviously has reaped enormous benefits. And so, Zita, tonight we present you with a most unusual gift, which is so fragile that I'm afraid to touch it. Okay, all right? Allow me to explain the gift. We thought about plaques, and I really thought of designing a 6 traits plaque for you, but it didn't go. So instead, your colleague and friend, Mary Ellen Felge, has helped to design a ceramic pin of a dove, which a larger replica will be put on the mosaic that adorns our school's lobby, recognizing your years of service here. The significance of the art, obviously, Monet, your special opportunities to integrate art with Mary Ellen, but mostly, as the Torah describes the covenant between the parts, all of the animals were cut, other than the birds. V'tatzipor lo batar. The birds were not cut. The birds represent the Jewish nation. Other empires have come, have risen and have fallen, and we don't speak of them any longer. But the Jewish people, the eternity is reflected in that dove, in that bird, in the vibrancy. And for you, Zita, the labor of love working here, even though you taught general studies, was just as much about Jewish vibrancy and how special it was to contribute your life story to our Holocaust group. So in addition, it is my personal pleasure to give you a copy of my father, Rabbi Beryl Wein, a renowned Jewish historian's book, his latest book, which details the Jewish history in the diaspora. We've actually lived in 6 of the 7 continents. The chapter on South Africa I know you will find very dear, but it is the last line in the chapter where he says that the prophet Elijah has a soft spot in his heart for the courteous and refined people of South Africa that especially resonated with me. Congratulations, Zita. We wish you health and happiness. And as was already alluded to, nobody can escape. You cannot actually retire. We have great plans, and we're looking forward to having you back. Maya. Maya, your tenacity is incredible, and you've inspired me even before I actually became principal with your setting the bar higher and higher for the Hebrew language curriculum, Holocaust and Israel studies in the school. The summer before I moved here, you called me, and I knew nothing. I didn't know what Talam was from Tel Aviv. I knew nothing about this, and here you wanted me, you wanted to send teachers to training, you wanted myself to go to training, and then now 11 years later, on Friday, as you retire, you're talking to me about sending teachers to training in Israel, in New York, to maintain the enormously high standards that we have here. That tenacity, though, is beyond programming and beyond curricula. It, of course, is with students, because as was alluded to in that video, not only do you give to your students physically, materially, helping them in ways unknown, they don't even realize what you're doing for them, but you have been there, and the more challenging the student, the more you rise to the challenge, and you give up on no one. That message is an incredibly potent message of tenacity to our students. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avot asks, Ezehu mechubad, who is honored? HaMechabed et habriot, one who honors others. And Maya, I think that is the greatest depiction of anything that I could possibly say about you. Whether it's family, your colleagues, anyone in this Jewish community, you have accorded them respect. And you have demanded respect from your students. It would have been so easy 2 weeks ago. The 5th grade was out of control. And if it was me, I would have let it go, because it's 2 weeks till the end of the year. But you didn't let it go, because they need to understand and learn what Derech Eretz is. And I admired you for that, obviously. Maya and I had the special, unique privilege of being in Israel together, or chaperoning an Israel trip, with students who will be rising juniors in college next year. And Maya, what I learned from you on that trip, Kavod HaTorah, what would you do to honor the Torah? When we entered the shul of the Ari in Sfat, you immediately sought and wanted to pray mincha, but you wanted to cover your hair and put on a shawl and do whatever it would be to be appropriate for that place. The way you prepared the students for visiting the Kotel, something incredible. And even when we were in the Bedouin tent, there's not much else but sand, you had yahrzeit for your father. And you asked, do you think I should get a candle? Should I light a candle? Again, your respect. And of course you did it. You maintained it. And then there was the fun when Maya and I commandeered our bus while the students were kayaking on the Jordan River to go shoe shopping at the Naot outlet. And they stood waiting, dripping, waiting for us to finally return. But so much have I learned. Maya, you too are receiving Mary Ellen's very, very, very beautiful dove. And mosaics are your medium of art expression, perhaps because of the diversity, the colorful hues, the different shapes and designs, and understanding that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Maya, Yona Matzavo Manoach, the special Zmirot on Shabbat, I know how much you love that, how much you cherish the tranquility of Shabbat. That is something that will be meaningful. And in my father's book, there's a chapter on North Africa as well, all right? And there, no, he doesn't talk about the refined nature of the Moroccan Jews, but in fact, he mentions that the fact that there is still a toehold of Jewish life and vibrancy in North Africa today. And one of our alum who we taught, Anat Berdé-Sachs, recently spent a few months there in Tunis. All of this comes to point to the characterization of Jewish vibrancy and Jewish commitment that is eternal. Congratulations, Maya. Hashem yishmor tzeitchem uvoachem me'ata ve'ad olam. It is my blessing to both of you that your comings and goings be with peace, and that there are more comings as you return back to be here with us for many years to come.
I would now love to invite Ms. Zita Nurak up to say a few words.
Miriam, there are no words that can express my appreciation of you. You have always supported me, you've always encouraged me, you've been very interested in what I do, and you have a great understanding of my approach to teaching. Thank you. To my husband David, you have been nothing but supportive to me all these years. When I was going to retire a few years ago, before Miriam convinced me that I shouldn't, you were very supportive of that. And when I returned, you said that was fine. And when I decided finally that I'm going to retire now, you were fine with that, and I appreciate that very much. To our son Saul, thank you for coming from Vermont and leaving your family to spend the weekend with us. To my friend Gwen from Baltimore, Gwen has been a friend for 50 years, 50. Thank you for coming here. And to my special friends who will be at the table with us, thank you for your presence as well. To the school community that I feel I belong to, it has always been a pleasure to come to school every day and work with a group of very dedicated people, dedicated to what they believe in, and that's always been important. I include the people in the kitchen who prepared wonderful food for us every day. I include even Mitchell, who would clean my floor every single day. And to two special people who were my partners, who were in my team, Shulamet. You have been so supportive of me. It has been wonderful and easy to work with you. On a personal basis, you and I formed a very close, respectful relationship, important ingredient of a friendship, and also a trusting relationship. To Rabbi Gluck, I'm in awe constantly of his creativity that seemed never ending. Congratulations to the 8th grade graduates. I wish you the best of luck in your future education. congratulations to Maya on your retirement. I remember fondly when we attended a chemistry class together, and nobody knew, but my husband David was in the chemistry department, so he did a lot of our work with us. Put it that way. To Amanda, congratulations on your honor of being the distinguished teacher. To Dan, you were Danny in those days, and you for being the honoree for tonight. I remember you well. In fact, I have a picture of Andrew, your brother, when he was in my class as well. And by the way, Martin, you were also in my class. So I remember all these people. When I decided to retire this time, I thought maybe I should go another 2 years. That would make it 36 years, which is double high. Or if I continued for those 2 years, it would make 50 years in the world of education for me. 50 years, that is a half a century. I decided that made me feel really old, so I'm settling for 48 and 34. Thank you. A wise father once said to his daughter at a bat mitzvah that I attended, if you do what you love, you will love what you do. This has been true for me. Through all the years, I have done what I have loved, and I have indeed loved what I've done. I find it very exciting to see children, the light of children in children's eyes when they can read and when they discover books and the world of books. I find it exciting when they feel that they too can express themselves through the written word. This school has been to me, is to me like a sparkling jewel in the city. Under Miriam's guidance, I hope and I wish for future students to shine brightly in the future for our school. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Maya Shmuel.
First of all, I would like for my family to stand up. I am so thrilled that you guys are all here. Whoever was in charge of this program, thank you for not asking my niece and my nephews to come up and speak on my behalf. I also taught them. Where do I begin? Telling you about my journey for the last 36 years. It all began when I was approached by one of my children's teachers asking me if I would be interested in being her assistant in first grade, since it was going to be such a large class the following year. Within a week, Dr. Ray Stern hired me. I was a young parent who never imagined what a teacher's career entailed. I recall one day, while I was assisting in first grade, I heard a loud helicopter noise. It seemed very close and it startled me. I asked what was going on, and Mrs. Strusky told me it's the Hastings, Mark, and Hart. They just landed their helicopter in the back of the school where our Cultural Arts Center is today. And there they were, dressed in suits, Mark with his infamous hat, and Hart wearing a kippah. At that moment, they seemed bigger than life. Throughout the years, I got to know their families, their children, and taught their grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Once I heard about their interesting lives, I invited Hart and Mark to share their history with all of us. Hart spoke about his relationship with Menachem Begin, as well as his family's history during the Holocaust. Mark shared his experiences in Etzel and his journey on the Altalena. Throughout the years, our school endured ups and downs, but Hart was always there, ensuring that the administration and staff were all focused on the same goals. Hart, I am grateful to you for having the confidence in me and providing me with many opportunities throughout my career. I would also like to mention a dear friend and former principal, Dr. Raymond Stern. He encouraged me to get a degree in education. While taking classes, I recollect taking a chemistry class with Zita Nurak. Our professor was a petite older woman who spoke very softly, no one could hear her. Zita and I quickly realized we better get to class early and sit in the front row if we wanted to pass her class. We had a homework assignment which we needed help with. Zita and I asked David, her husband, to help us. Well, he tried. He explained everything in great detail. It was Zita, thank goodness, who finally said, "David, just give us the answers. We're going to be late to class." I don't share this weak moment with my students, but I do tell them that I could never teach them science as well as Dawn Bick and Nika Solomon. Teaching in first grade for 6 years, Dr. Stern and I introduced the Tal-Am curriculum when the program first began. Danny Sachs was my first grade student. Danny, are your boys here? Sorry. He was funny, curious, and very active. He wanted to know about everything. In fact, he asked me how I observed Yom Kippur. Do you remember that? You see, I knew Marvin and Natasha as well as his grandparents. So Danny felt comfortable asking me personal questions. So I told him how I observed this holiday. Marvin, Danny's dad, came to school and said to me, "What are you doing to my son? He made me put tape on the light switches." I also taught Danny in middle school. He was still full of energy and wit. "Danny, do you remember getting yarn stuck in your braces in Mrs. Felligy's art class?" We have fond memories of you and your family, and were saddened when your family left our community to begin new careers in Maryland. Once Dr. Stern left our school, I was needed in middle school. So I moved up and also became the Hebrew language coordinator. Many opportunities arose, such as being selected by Rabbi Zayon for the Green Spoon Award for Excellence in Jewish Education, receiving a generous monetary award, which led up to the Kibbutz program, a program for educators traveling and learning about the different Jewish communities in Europe and Israel. Judy Liebman and I established an annual trip to Israel for our 8th grade students. This entailed lots of research, money, and working alongside the Sochnut, the Jewish agency, to entice our students to become more involved with Israel while walking in the footsteps of our forefathers. This trip was and is life-changing for our students, with some of them returning there for different programs. Joining the partnership was also a new endeavor for me and our school. Students utilized their Hebrew language skills, writing letters and working on different projects, such as a book sharing, art projects, and ultimately meeting the students in Rambam, which is located in Akko. Working alongside Mary Ellen Felligy, a dear friend and colleague, our students created many beautiful artistic paintings in our Holocaust room and in Akko. Another opportunity arose when Miriam Gettinger asked me to be the liaison between our school and the Federation, which involves our students with community programs, such as the Youth Holocaust Program, Yom HaZikaron, and Yom HaAtzmaut, which I am very proud of. As I mentioned before, Dr. Stern was an excellent principal, a friend, and my mentor. Miriam, you came to our school 11 years ago.